Pacific, where Cambodia and Thailand will hold talks in Malaysia today to end days of deadly border fighting. Both leaders are expected to attend, with over 30 people having been killed and more than 200,000 people being evacuated in the 5-day conflict. Thailand's acting Prime Minister Phumtham says Cambodia is not acting in good faith. He also said that the United States, China, Malaysia have reached out to help and they don't want to see violence. He made the remarks while leaving for peace talks in Malaysia. Meanwhile, Cambodia accuses Thai forces of using artillery airstrikes and cluster bombs on sacred sites. Thailand claims Cambodia fired into civilian areas. Let's have a look at what the Cambodian Ministry of Defense spokesperson had to say.
ចឹងពាក់ព័ន្ធទៅនឹងការប្រយុទ្ធគ្នារវាងកងទ័ពកម្ពុជាហើយនិងថៃដែលយើងទទួលការឈ្លានពានពីកងទ័ពថៃហ្នឹងឯកឧត្តមប្រធានាធិបតី Donald Trump លោកចង់ឃើញការឈប់បាញ់គ្នាភ្លាមហើយនឹងចង់ឃើញសន្តិភាពកើតមានរវាងប្រទេសទាំងពីរជាការឆ្លើយតបសម្ដេចមហាបវរធិបតីនាយករដ្ឋមន្ត្រីលោកបានបញ្ជាក់យ៉ាងច្បាស់ជាមួយនឹងឯកឧត្តមប្រធានាធិបតី Donald Trump ថាកម្ពុជាឯកភាពតាមសំណើឲ្យមានការឈប់បាញ់ភ្លាមនិងដោយឥតលក្ខខណ្ឌរវាង
Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump has mentioned that Thailand and Cambodia want to make trade deals and negotiations with both countries are ongoing. He says the US will not make a deal if they are still in conflict. Talks with Cambodia and Thailand continue as part of the broader trade strategy. Let's take a listen in to the US President.
I asked my people, I said, how are we doing with Cambodia and how are we doing with Thailand? And they say they're going to be coming in at some point to talk. I said, well, let's call them right now. So I called the prime ministers of each. And I said, we're not going to make a trade deal unless you settle the war. A lot of people are killed, you know that, in a short period of time. The border, they're fighting pretty like wild. And I spoke to both of the prime ministers, and I think by the time I got off, I think they want to settle now. I know they're meeting today or tomorrow, and we're going to work with them. Marco Rubio's working with them also, his people, and him. I think we're going to get that. That would be a great thing.
Now we're once again joined by Spencer Critchley. Spencer, the United States has been vocal about wanting to help mediate this conflict. However, both the Southeast Asian countries have agreed on Malaysia to mediate this conflict as the current head of ASEAN. However, the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, says that US officials are in Malaysia to help in these Cambodia and Thailand talks. Why does the US care about this conflict?
I'm glad to see, the U.S. Coming out on the side of peace wherever it does that, and I hope this proves to be successful. I'm concerned that by Trump following his usual practice of making unilateral threats and trying to get other countries to bend to his will, it either could backfire in the short term or in the long term, since over time I think it's virtually guaranteed to breed resentment, not just in this dispute, but in many other situations around the world, including relations with close allies like Europe, as we were just discussing. I think that Trump's particular preference, and I don't think there's anything wrong with this, is to be doing trade with both of these countries, and he sees conflict as getting in the way of that. And again, I agree with him on that, and I think, frankly, this border dispute between them, not that I'm anything like an expert in this part of the world, but it strikes me as similar to so many disputes among nations, something that has nothing to do with the interests of the people of either nation, but and a great deal to do with the leadership of both nations. And in this case, with disputes between two patriarchs, one in Thailand and one in Cambodia, neither of them still in office, but both running powerful families. And so we see once again a case of nations being run for the benefit apparently of a few powerful people at the top while the people of both of those nations suffer. It's a fond dream, but I would really like to see at some point in the future of the world an alliance amongst just the people of all of the nations of the world who finally decide they've had it with this and they're not buying this routine coming from whoever it is that happens to be running the country at that particular point for their interests as opposed to the interests of their people.
Spencer Critchley, thank you very much. Always a pleasure having you on the programme, as always.